Add-ons have always been an important part of World of Warcraft for me. They give you the tools to customize your game in so many different ways and just generally improve upon the base UI and experience you're given. Moving into Wrath of the Lich King Classic, I'm going to assume plenty of players are going to be coming back or giving Classic a go for the first time and are going to think to themselves, what add-ons do people use for this version of the game? So that's what I want to cover today, the add-ons which I use and recommend, what they do and why I use them. Again, I think this will be more useful for players who haven't been on Classic in a while. If you've been on through the majority of TBC, chances are you're going to know all of these and probably have the majority of them, but you still might find something useful. Who knows? First up, add-on managers. Where do you install stuff from? So to cut the story short, a few months ago changes were made to certain add-on management apps' ability to access updates, which have made them difficult to use. More or less the only add-on manager that I have found that has a press one button to update and it's actually going to update everything you have is CurseForge, which means you also have to have downloaded Overwolf. But unless you want to at least in part manually handle your add-ons, I currently don't know of a better option. The add-on manager I used previously was WowUp, which is far more lightweight and doesn't need you to download anything extra, but again, certain add-ons will no longer update through the app itself. That's where I'm at with add-on managers. If anyone has any magical solutions around this, do let me know below. Otherwise, you're probably best off using CurseForge for simplicity's sake. So then, add-ons in no particular order. If you've been following Wrath of the Lich King updates, you'll know that the in-game quest tracking feature may or may not be available from the launch of the expansion. So you'll want some kind of quest helper add-on unless you really love reading quest text, which I'm going to assume you don't. There's two main options to consider here. First, and the best one overall for leveling, is the Rested XP add-on. This is a leveling route add-on that's been developed by Classic WoW's best speedrunners over I don't even know how many hours of testing and retesting routes. It has leveling routes for all available content across Classic, TBC, and of course Wrath of the Lich King. It sets out what you need to do, where to go, and guides you to the locations with on-screen directions so you can just level as fast as possible, whatever the version of World of Warcraft it is you're playing. It is, however, a paid guide after the first 30 levels, so it's up to you whether you think it's worth the investment. I can say with a pretty good degree of certainty, if you haven't played Wrath of the Lich King in a long time, using this will save you literally hours upon leveling your character, and of course you've always got it available for your alts as well. I also think it's fair play to the guys who have made this. Add-ons make World of Warcraft so much better and they never usually see much back in return. So if you did want to check it out, there's a link below where you can look into it and the different things that they offer. I'll give a mention to the alternative too, because it's what I used before I got Rested XP, and that would be Questie, which is essentially what Blizzard's quest helper will be whenever it comes out, but a bit better, showing quest objectives on the map and quest locations. After that, it's up to you to work out where's best to go and when. Leatrix Plus and Leatrix Maps. These two add-ons change the way your UI and map are shown. As for Leatrix Plus, it's a single add-on that combines a ton of different useful features into one, automating quest turn-ins, gossip, auto-selling your junk, as well as repairing gear when you talk to an NPC who's capable of doing it. You can resize quest text, mail text, turn off error notifications, enhance your quest log or profession windows or trainers so that they're larger and show more information. In the systems tab, there's a ton more options. Faster auto loot is amazing. You don't realize how slow looting is until you turn this on. You can turn off the grayscale effect when you die, change the intensity of weather settings, and loads more stuff. Leatrix Plus kind of just does a bit of everything and is like a combination of tons of hidden commands which you otherwise may not know about. Regardless, I really recommend this add-on and to play about with it and see what you like. As for Leatrix Maps, the main reason that I use it is because the default map opening and completely blocking your entire screen with two bars at the side looks terrible, and often I kind of want to have a vague idea where I'm going whilst also looking at the map. You can also resize it and move it around too if you want it in the corner or something. Good alternative to pressing Shift M. Next, the auction house. So the classic auction house is, putting it nicely, Absolutely terrible. I'd take the retail rework any day, but that's not about to happen, so you better get an add-on to make it functional. I personally use AuctionFaster. It adds some new tabs at the bottom. On buy here, for example, I've saved a number of different herbs or various items which I can click on and then just buy whatever I need. On the sell tab, it will by default place items at a suggested price lower than the current minimum offer, so just make sure you aren't underselling by too much. The reason I use this add-on and not other ones is because A, it's simple. I'm not a person who wants to spend a lot of time at the auction house. I want to buy something or sell something and be done and gone and doing other things. And B, it doesn't need to scan each time you search an item. Some other add-ons do this, and if you're on a big server and there's 50 pages of an item, you're going to be sitting there for minutes before it does anything. I don't know how, but AuctionFaster doesn't do this. It just, well, auctions faster. So it's good for that. If you are, however, into playing the auction house and are a bit more involved in buying or selling, I still think TSM is the way to go, as it's got the widest range of customization and information available, but I will leave the experimentation on that front to you, as I wouldn't use it personally. Next add-on, AtlasLoot. I love this. It's like a handbook to every single item, profession and reputation in your pocket. It also contains information for previous expansions, great for seeing a loot from that dungeon you're doing, what materials a certain item needs, what reputation you need for that enchant, which vendor sells it, and so much more. And you can link stuff directly to chat from it too. Really useful add-on, recommended. Since Wrath the Lich King is the real rise of the collection addicts being able to chase their mounts, pets and achievements, there is an add-on to help with that. It's called AllTheThings, or just ATT for short, and it tracks, well, you know, all of the things. Every zone exploration, quest, achievement, pet, item, and more. You can customize it to fit what you want to collect, since there are some things, like transmog, that you just aren't going to have space to be able to do. But if you do like your completion content, I can recommend giving this add-on a look. Next up, I use an add-on for bags. I've never really liked the each individual bag look, but there's add-ons out there which combine everything into one big bag. So there's really two options here that people use. First up, and the most well-known, is Bagnon. Aside from combining everything, you can also allocate bags for certain items, such as gear, and then there's an auto sort button to organize your stuff for you, and hopefully it goes where you want it to. The other popular one, and the one I use, is Inventorian. It doesn't have the sort feature, but I think it looks better, and I don't mind organizing stuff by myself anyway. Next one I use is DoomCooldownPulse. This is one I've always liked. It simply shows a brief image of your spell flashing on your screen when it comes off cooldown. Helps with remembering things to use them as of when they come off cooldown, and just tracking stuff in general when in combat and not wanting to stare at your bars. For gear management, I currently use ItemRack, but I'm not sure that I will anymore in Wrath, as there is a built-in equipment manager as a feature, which is currently on the beta and will be working for launch. Nevertheless, it's what I've used so far to configure gear. Benefits it has over the Wrath of the Lich King gear manager is that you can auto deposit or withdraw entire item sets from your bank with one button. You can also configure an on-screen display for trinkets or whichever other item slot you want by hovering over an item and pressing Alt and left click. I think overall this add-on was much more useful in Classic when you swap gear all of the time, but I currently use it, so I thought I'd give it a mention. MiniMapButtonBag. This is one of those add-ons that's made to handle how messy having too many add-ons can be. You know how every single add-on has that minimap button and they are always on by default for some reason? This combines all of those together into a single button that you can press, and then it opens a menu of all the other stuff that you have. It just cleans things up really, and it looks good. ModernTargetFrame and OmniCC, these are two of the most important add-ons for me. What they do is show how much health enemies have, rather than it just being a percentage. OmniCC has other functionality and is needed for ModernTargetFrame to work. It also displays CC effects over characters' portraits when they're affected, so it's a lot more clear. ClassicAuraDurations also enhances your debuff on the target, giving it a visible timer and making your debuffs appear larger, just so it's easier to tell exactly what you need to track personally. I use Bartender for my action bars, very simple to use, has presets, and just allows you to move your bars around, resize them, and so on. The other major bar add-on is LUI. I just never really got into the habit of using it. However, if you've used it in the past or on retail, it does work with Classic if you want to mess around with it. Deadly, boss mods, and details. These are your typical add-ons add-ons that practically everybody knows about, everybody has, but it's just worth a mention for them quickly. You know what DBM does, tells you about boss and dungeon encounters. Details, I guess, is the DPS meter add-on that I use, but it is more than that though. It tracks heals, dispels, mana gained, and just about every single numerical metric that moves in an encounter. There's also a plugin to this that you can open via a separate window called Tiny Threat, which functions as a threat meter, because yes, we're playing Classic and threat kind of still is a thing. A bit of a lesser extent in Wrath than previous expansions, but it doesn't hurt to have it around. WeakAuras is another good add-on to have. It can do, well, just about anything. WeakAuras tend to be things that you find are needed for specific encounters or to track certain things on your class, and I don't really have many I can recommend for general use. One I suppose I can share is this, which puts debuffs on top of nameplates, though it does need OmniCC to work properly though. And that's just about everything which I personally use. Of course, there's thousands of different add-ons and everybody wants to configure their setup a little bit differently, but what I've gone over here I think is a solid baseline to enhancing your experience a little bit. So if you're making a comeback for Wrath, I hope this helped you get started on setting your game up. Do drop down below if you have any good add-on suggestions and what they do if you want to help your Classic players out. Also, if there's any big new add-ons specific for Wrath which appear prior to launch, I'll update down below as well, but I think for the most part it's just going to be the TBC ones being updated. We shall see though. Anyways, as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I shall see you all in the next one very soon.